You won't believe it, my stomach always hurt after dinner, but yesterday I threw up the food my daughter had cooked and pretended to lose consciousness. When she called her husband, thinking I couldn't hear her, I heard something that broke me inside. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. My fingers gripped the edge of grandmother's mahogany table as the room tilted sideways. Not again, the thought sliced through the fog in my brain while I fought to keep my face neutral. Nicole watched me from across the table, her brown eyes too bright, too eager. Henry's leg bounced under the table, rattling the ice in his sweet tea. 30 minutes earlier, everything had seemed normal. Nicole had called me to dinner with that sing-song voice she'd been using lately, sweet as molasses and twice as thick. "Daddy, dinner's ready. Made your favorite." She'd practically pulled me from my recliner, her hand warm on my elbow, guiding me to my usual seat. The dining room looked perfect, like something from Southern Living magazine. Warm lamplight reflected off Louise's china, the plates she'd saved for 20 years to buy. Family photos lined the buffet. Nicole's graduation, her wedding to Henry, my retirement party from U.S. Steel's Fairfield Works. The sweet potato casserole sat center stage, topped with perfectly browned marshmallows. "You didn't have to go to all this trouble, baby girl," I said, settling into my chair. My knees protested. 67 years of living had taken their toll. "Nonsense. You've been looking tired lately. Thought you could use a good meal." Nicole scooped a massive portion onto my plate. The casserole landed with a wet thud. "Besides, when's the last time we had Sunday dinner on a Friday?" I picked up my fork, noticed my hand trembling slightly. Fatigue, probably, or maybe the arthritis acting up again. The first bite tasted wrong, not bad exactly, but off. Metallic, like pennies left in your mouth. I reached for my water. "How is it?" Nicole leaned forward. "Good, real good." I took another bite to prove it. Henry hadn't touched his food, just pushed green beans around his plate. "Henry made the cornbread," Nicole said. "Didn't you, honey?" "Yeah." His voice cracked. He cleared his throat. "From scratch. 3 months. That's how long these Friday dinners had been happening. Started right after I told Nicole I wasn't selling the house. She'd shown up with a real estate agent, talking about retirement communities in Hoover, how much easier life would be. When I said no, her face had changed, just for a second, before the smile snapped back into place. "Daddy, you're not eating much." Nicole's voice pulled me back. "Not too hungry tonight, baby girl. You need to keep your strength up." She pushed the plate closer. "Especially with you living alone in this big house." There it was again. The house. Always circling back to the house. 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, corner lot in Ensley, worth 10 times what Louise and I paid in 1983. I forced down another bite. The room felt warmer. Sweat beaded on my forehead despite the air conditioning humming through the vents. Henry's knee bounced faster, making the table vibrate. "You okay, Henry?" I asked. "Fine, just excited about the game tonight. Alabama playing LSU." "That's tomorrow," I said, his face flushed. "Right, tomorrow." Nicole stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the hardwood. "Dessert time. Made peach cobbler." She disappeared into the kitchen before I could protest. The metallic taste grew stronger. My tongue felt thick, clumsy. I'd felt this way before, last Friday and the Friday before that. Always after Nicole's special dinners, never after meals at the Bright Star restaurant or when I cooked for myself. She returned with the cobbler, steam still rising from the dish. The smell should have made my mouth water, but my stomach clenched instead. She served me first, a huge square with vanilla ice cream melting over the top. "Nicole, I'm pretty full. Just a few bites." For me, that phrase, she'd been saying it more lately. For me, like I owed her something. Like raising her alone after Louise died wasn't enough. Like keeping this house, her childhood home, was some kind of betrayal. I lifted the spoon. The cobbler was perfect. Golden crust, tender peaches, just the right amount of cinnamon. But underneath, that same metallic edge. I managed 3 bites before the pain hit. It started behind my sternum, sharp as a welding torch. I dropped the spoon. It clattered against the china, the sound too loud in my ears. The room spun. Nicole was beside me instantly. "Daddy, what's wrong? I just need..." Words wouldn't come. My throat felt lined with steel wool. "Henry, get water now!" Nicole's hand pressed against my forehead. "You're burning up." Henry scrambled to the kitchen. I heard cabinets slamming, water running. The pain spread across my chest, down my arms. Not a heart attack. I knew what those felt like. This was different. Poison. The word surfaced from somewhere deep, some documentary I'd watched about Victorian murders. "Let's get you to the couch," Nicole said, her arm sliding under mine. She was stronger than I remembered. When had my little girl gotten so strong? Henry appeared with the water, sloshing half of it on the floor. I sipped slowly, buying time, thinking. 3 months of Friday dinners. 3 3 months of mysterious illness. 3 months since I'd refused to sell. They helped me to the living room, one on each side like prison guards. The couch embraced me, soft and familiar. Louise had picked it out, dark blue fabric that hid stains. I sank into it, let my head fall back. Should we call an ambulance? Henry's voice pitched high, scared. No, Nicole said quickly. He just needs rest. This happens sometimes. Right, Daddy? I kept my eyes closed but nodded. Let her think I was worse off than I was. Let her think she was winning. Through my eyelids, I sensed her leaning close, studying me. I'll clean up, she said finally. Henry, stay with him. Her footsteps retreated toward the kitchen. I heard her whisper something, but couldn't make out the words. Henry's breathing was ragged beside me. The boy was falling apart. Good. Guilty conscience meant he still had a conscience. Patterns. That's what 30 years in metallurgy taught you. Look for patterns in the structure. Find the weakness. Every Friday. Only Friday dinners. Only food Nicole prepared. I focused on breathing, on listening to Nicole moving through my kitchen, opening drawers she had no business opening. The pain was already fading, leaving exhaustion in its wake. Whatever she was giving me, it wasn't meant to kill quickly. This was something else, something slower. The kitchen faucet ran, dishes clinked, normal sounds that felt anything but normal. In the distance, a siren wailed down 20th Street. Not coming here, not yet. The next morning, sunlight stabbed through my bedroom curtains like accusations. My mouth tasted like I'd been sucking on old batteries, and my bones felt hollow, brittle as bird wings. I rolled over, reached for the glass of water on my nightstand, and knocked over the small leather journal I'd been keeping. It fell open to last week's entry. Friday, April 19th. Sick after dinner again. Nicole made pot roast. I picked it up, fingers still shaky, and flipped back through 3 months of similar notes. My own handwriting looked foreign, desperate. January 18th. Nicole insisted on cooking, felt nauseated all weekend. February 8th. Friday dinner at N's insistence. Severe stomach cramps. February 22nd, skipped dinner, felt fine. N seemed agitated. March 15th, back to Friday dinners, back to being sick. The pattern screamed at me from the pages. Every Friday when Nicole cooked, I got sick. Every meal I ate elsewhere, I felt fine. The retirement party at the Union Hall, fine. Sunday breakfast at the Waffle House on Bessemer Road, fine. Nicole's special dinners, sick as a dog. I sat up slowly, testing my balance. My reflection in the dresser mirror looked gaunt. When had I lost so much weight? My UAB hospital bracelet from my last checkup hung loose on my wrist. Dr. Peterson had mentioned the weight loss, suggested more tests. I'd waved him off. Just getting older, I'd said. But this wasn't age. This was systematic, calculated. The kind of precision I'd seen in metal fatigue tests. Apply pressure repeatedly to the same point until the structure fails. The argument about the house played on repeat in my mind. Nicole had brought papers, had them all filled out except for my signature. It's for your own good, Daddy. This place is too much for you. When I refused, she'd gotten quiet. Not angry. That would have been normal. Just quiet, like she was recalculating. 3 weeks later, the Friday dinners started. I pulled myself out of bed, gripped the dresser for support. My engineering notebook sat on the shelf, 40 years of problem solving. But this wasn't about tensile strength or thermal expansion. This was about my daughter, my only child, the girl I'd raised alone after Louise passed, who I'd sent to Alabama State on my savings, who I'd walked down the aisle 5 years ago. The hallway stretched longer than usual. Each step felt like walking through wet cement. The phone sat on the side table, below Louise's painting of the 16th Street Baptist Church. I picked up the receiver, noticed my hand shaking worse than yesterday. The clinic's number was written on the pad beside the phone. I'd been putting off calling, afraid of sounding paranoid, afraid of being right. UAB Family Medicine. This is Ms. Washington. Yes, ma'am. This is Delbert Grant. I need to make an appointment. What seems to be the problem, Mr. Grant? I gripped the receiver tighter. I've been having stomach troubles. Recurring for about 3 months now. How long have you had these symptoms, Mr. Grant? 3 months, maybe more. Papers shuffled on her end. Are you experiencing symptoms currently? Yes, ma'am. Had another episode last night. Let me check our calendar. More shuffling. Dr. Patterson has an opening Thursday. Is there anything sooner? I swallowed hard. I think this might be urgent. Her tone shifted, became more focused. We can fit you in Monday at 2 p.m. That's with Dr. Carter. She's excellent. Monday? Today was Saturday. 2 more days. Nothing today? I'm sorry, Mr. Grant. The weekend clinic is completely booked, but if your symptoms worsen, you should go to the emergency room. The emergency room meant questions, maybe police. I wasn't ready for that, not until I knew for sure. Monday's fine, thank you. We can fit you in Monday at 2 p.m. See you then. I hung up, stared at the appointment card she'd had me write. Monday, April 29th. 2 p.m. Dr. Elizabeth Carter. I circled the date in red ink from Louise's old grading pen, the one she'd used when she taught 3rd grade at Watley Elementary. My stomach cramped again, sharp enough to double me over. I stumbled to the bathroom, grabbed the antacids from the medicine cabinet. The pills did nothing lately, but I swallowed 2 anyway. Habit, hope, denial. The dresser held our family photos in mismatched frames. Nicole at 3, missing her front teeth. At 10, wearing her mother's church hat. At 18, graduation cap slightly crooked. At 30, cutting her wedding cake. Henry beside her, looking overwhelmed even then. When had my baby girl decided I was expendable? Was it gradual, like rust eating through steel, or sudden, like a stress fracture giving way? I picked up the journal again, added today's entry. Saturday, April 27th. Symptoms persisting. Made doctor's appointment. If I'm right about this, the pen hovered over the page. If I was right, then what? Call the police on my own daughter? Have her arrested? Watch them put her in handcuffs in the same kitchen where she'd taken her first steps? Through the bedroom window, I could see the backyard where Louise had grown tomatoes, where Nicole had played on the swing set I'd built from salvaged steel. The property developers would tear it all down, put up condos or a strip mall, erase 40 years of memories for a profit margin. The journal felt heavy in my hands. Evidence. That's what this was now. Not a worried father's notes, but evidence. I tucked it under the mattress, felt like I was hiding something shameful. Monday seemed impossibly far away. I held the appointment card, stared at the date circled in red. Monday came faster than expected. I told Nicole I was going to play cards at the senior center. She'd smiled, patted my shoulder, said to have fun. Her touch felt like a brand. The bus ride downtown took 40 minutes. I could have driven, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Every bump in the road sent waves of nausea through me. Other passengers gave me space, probably thought I was drunk or sick. They were half right. Dr. Carter's clinic sat on 3rd Avenue North, squeezed between a pharmacy and a soul food restaurant. The waiting room smelled like disinfectant and fear, that hospital smell that brought back Louise's final days. The beeping machines, the whispered conversations in hallways, the chaplain's soft voice. 3 other patients sat scattered across orange plastic chairs. Nobody made eye contact. We all had our private miseries. A woman coughed into a tissue. A young man held his arm against his chest. An elderly woman clutched her purse like it might run away. "Mr. Grant?" A nurse in purple scrubs stood by the door. "Dr. Carter will see you now." The examination room was small, windowless. Posters about blood pressure and diabetes covered beige walls. I sat on the paper-covered table, heard it crinkle under my weight. Dr. Carter entered with a knock. Mid-50s, silver hair in a neat bun, eyes that missed nothing. She had that look good doctors have, competent but kind. "Mr. Grant, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Carter. Tell me what's been going on." I started with the symptoms, kept it clinical, factual, nausea after meals, weight loss, tremors, fatigue. She took notes, nodding, asking follow-up questions. When did it start? How often? Any pattern to the episodes? "Every Friday," I said. After dinner, her pen stopped moving. "Every Friday, same meal, same cook." The words came out bitter. "My daughter." Dr. Carter's expression didn't change, but something shifted in the room. She set down her pen, looked at me directly. "Mr. Grant, I need to examine you, then run some tests." The physical exam was thorough. She checked my eyes, throat, lymph nodes, listened to my heart and lungs, pressed on my abdomen, watched me wince. When she examined my fingernails, she paused. "See these white lines across your nails? They're called Mies lines. What causes them? Several things. We'll need blood work to be sure." But her face had already told me. She suspected what I suspected. She was just being professional, careful. The nurse drew 6 vials of blood. My veins had always been good. Years of summer blood drives at the steel plant. But today she had to try twice. I watched the dark blood fill each tube, evidence of whatever was destroying me from inside. "We're going to run a comprehensive toxicology panel," Dr. Carter said. "I'm putting a rush on it. Can you wait? It'll be about 90 minutes. 90 minutes to confirm what I already knew." I nodded. The waiting room felt smaller the second time. Different patients now, same misery. I picked up a magazine, couldn't focus on the words. The clock on the wall ticked like a countdown. 2:47, 2:48, 2:49. A toddler played with blocks in the corner, stacking them up, knocking them down, building and destroying. His mother watched with tired eyes. I thought about Nicole at that age, how she'd built entire cities from cardboard boxes. "Daddy, look! I made you a house." At 4:15, the nurse called me back. Dr. Carter sat behind her desk. Test results spread before her. She looked up when I entered, and I knew. It's funny how you can know something in your bones before anyone says a word. "Mr. Grant, please sit down." I sat. The chair felt unsteady. Or maybe that was me. She turned the paper toward me, pointed to a highlighted number. "Mr. Grant, these results show arsenic in your system." The word hung between us like a blade. "That's impossible, unless..." The levels indicate chronic exposure, small doses over time. She pulled out another sheet. Your hair sample confirms it. This is systematic poisoning over months. My chest tightened, but not from poison this time. From rage, from grief, from the terrible confirmation of betrayal. How? Most commonly through food or drink. The symptoms you described, nausea, tremors, weight loss, they're classic signs. The mise lines on your nails, the metallic taste you mentioned, all consistent with arsenic. Will I couldn't finish the question. With treatment, you should recover. Chelation therapy can help remove the arsenic from your system. But Mr. Grant, we need to contact the police. This is attempted murder. No police. She leaned forward. Mr. Grant, someone is trying to kill you. I know who. My voice came out steady, calm, the same voice I'd used to fire workers at the plant. No police. I'll handle this myself. I can't recommend that. This person, whoever they are, they're dangerous. She's my daughter. Dr. Carter's face softened. The professional mask slipped, showed the human underneath. I'm sorry, so am I. She was quiet for a moment, then pulled out a prescription pad. I'm prescribing chelation medication. Take it exactly as directed. Document everything. Save food samples if possible. Keep detailed notes of symptoms. If you change your mind about the police, I won't. Then be careful. Someone who poisons family. She didn't finish. Didn't need to. She handed me the prescription, a folder of information about arsenic poisoning, and a card with her direct number. Call if symptoms worsen. And Mr. Grant, don't eat anything you don't prepare yourself. I stood, steadier than I'd been in months. Knowing was power. Evidence was ammunition. Thank you, Dr. Carter. Take care of yourself. I left the clinic, stepped into afternoon sun that felt too bright, too clean for what I now carried. The prescription bag weighed heavy in my hand, but not as heavy as the knowledge in my heart. My daughter, my only child, had been slowly killing me for a house, for money, for things that would turn to dust. The bus stop bench was empty. I sat down, pulled out my phone. Nicole had texted, "Hope you're having fun at cards. Made your favorite for dinner, fried catfish." I typed back, "Running late, don't wait for me." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, "Daddy, you need to eat." Yes, I did. But not her food. Never again her food. The bus rounded the corner, brakes squealing. I stood, touched the prescription bag in my pocket, felt the papers that proved my daughter's betrayal. This wasn't over. It had barely begun. But now I knew the enemy. Now I could plan. The steering wheel burned under my grip as I sat in the clinic parking lot, engine idling. 30 minutes had passed since Dr. Carter said the word that changed everything. Arsenic. The prescription bag lay on the passenger seat like evidence at a crime scene. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Start the car. Drive. Think. The familiar motions came automatically. Shift to reverse. Check mirrors. Ease out of the space. My body knew what to do, even when my mind reeled. 20th Street stretched ahead, the same route I'd driven for 40 years. Past the abandoned Bethel Baptist Church, its stained glass windows boarded up. Past the check-cashing place that used to be a black-owned bank. Past Rosa's kitchen, where Nicole and I celebrated her college acceptance. The memory hit without warning. January 15th, 3 months ago. Nicole had arrived with a briefcase. Since when did she carry a briefcase? She'd spread papers across the dining table, like she was presenting to the board at US Steel. "Daddy, this house is eating your pension." Her voice had been different that day. Professional, cold. "It's not about money, Nicole. $400,000. That's what developers offered Mrs. Washington next door." She'd tapped the spreadsheet with a manicured nail. "You could buy a nice condo in Hoover, have money left over for... Your mother chose this house." The silence that followed could have cut glass. Nicole's face had shifted, something ugly flickering beneath the concern. "She's been dead 15 years. Henry had stepped forward then, hand on her shoulder. "Nicole, maybe we should go. You're being selfish, holding on to ghosts." She'd swept the papers back into the briefcase. Movements sharp, violent. A horn blared. I drifted into the next lane, nearly sideswiped a pickup. The driver shouted something I couldn't hear over my pounding heart. I corrected, waved an apology, focused on the road. Railroad Park appeared on my right. Families played on the grass. Kids chasing each other while parents watched from benches. Normal life happening while mine crumbled. I pulled over, threw the car in park. My fist hit the steering wheel. The horn bleated, startled a jogger. Then the tears came, sudden. Hot, unstoppable. For Louise, for the daughter I thought I'd raised, for the family photographs that were all lies. A woman pushed a stroller past my car, glanced over with concern. I turned away, grabbed the old handkerchief from the glove box, the one with Louise's initials that I'd carried to her funeral. The dashboard clock read 4:45. Nicole worked until 5:30 at the marketing firm downtown. Henry got home around 6. I had time. Time for what? To gather evidence, to confirm what I already knew but couldn't accept, to approach this like an engineering problem, collect data, analyze, find the solution. My hands steadied on the wheel. The tears dried, leaving salt trails on my cheeks. This wasn't about emotion anymore. This was about survival, about justice, about making sure my daughter didn't succeed in killing the man who'd given her everything. I started the engine, pulled back onto 20th Street. The rearview mirror showed Railroad Park shrinking behind me. Ahead, my neighborhood waited. My house, the crime scene I'd been living in for 3 months without knowing it. The sun sat low, painting everything gold. Beautiful light for an ugly truth. I turned onto my street, watching the mirror again. Old habit from the plant. Always check what's behind you before moving forward. The driveway felt longer than usual. Nicole's car wasn't there. Small mercy. I sat for a moment, engine ticking as it cooled, studying my house like I'd never seen it before. Every window could hide evidence. Every room might hold answers I didn't want to find. The key stuck in the lock. My hands trembled again, making it worse. Finally it turned. The door opened to silence. Not the peaceful quiet of coming home, but the loaded stillness before a storm. Kitchen first. Where else would she hide it? This was her workspace, her laboratory. The sugar canister yielded only sugar. Flour, just flour. I checked every spice jar, sniffing for that metallic smell. Nothing. Of course not. Nicole was too smart for that. She always brought prepared food, containers from her house. I made extra, she'd say. Thought you'd enjoy some home cooking. Home. The word tasted bitter now. I opened every cabinet methodically. Behind the cereal boxes, nothing. Under the sink with the cleaning supplies, just bleach and dish soap. The refrigerator held leftovers in Tupperware. Yesterday's milk, wilted lettuce. Should I throw it all out? Was any of it safe? The garbage can stopped me cold. Takeout containers from Applebee's, from Olive Garden. All the home-cooked meals she'd brought had come from restaurants. She'd transferred them to her own dishes, pretended she'd slaved over them. The deception ran deeper than just poison. A receipt caught my eye, wedged between coffee grounds and banana peels. Walgreens, January 15th. The date made my stomach lurch. The same day as our argument. I smoothed it out on the counter. Shampoo, hand lotion, vitamins, and at the bottom, pest control, $24.99. Pest control in January, when there were no pests. The living room felt violated when I entered. This was where she'd helped me to the couch, where she'd pretended to care while poison worked through my system. The china cabinet revealed nothing unusual. Hall closet held winter coats that smelled like mothballs. Louise's old umbrella with the broken spoke. The downstairs bathroom medicine cabinet. Aspirin, antacids that didn't work anymore. Vitamins I took religiously, believing they'd help with the fatigue. Had she poisoned those too? I swept them all into the garbage. The stairs waited. 13 steps to the second floor, to Nicole's room, to the place I hadn't entered since she'd moved back temporarily after leaving Henry, except she hadn't really left him. That was another lie, designed to get her back in the house, closer to her target. I stood at the bottom, hand on the banister Louise had polished every Saturday. The wall beside me held our family timeline in frames. Nicole at 2, face covered in birthday cake. At 7, missing front teeth, holding a trophy from the science fair. At 16, in the dress Louise never got to see her wear to prom. At 22, college graduation, my arm around her shoulders, both of us grinning. When had that girl become someone capable of murder? My chest hurt, not poison this time, just the weight of betrayal. Louise would have seen it coming. She'd always been better at reading people. "You trust too easy, Dell," she'd say. "Not everyone has your good heart." The first step creaked. It always had. Ever since we moved in. Louise used to joke it was our burglar alarm. Now it sounded like an accusation. Step by step, I climbed. Each one felt like a year of Nicole's life. The cheerful baby, the stubborn toddler, the bright child who'd won spelling bees, the teenager who'd cried on my shoulder when boys broke her heart, the young woman I'd been so proud of. The hallway photos grew more recent. Nicole's wedding, her smile bright while Henry looked nervous even then. Last Christmas, all of us around the tree I'd cut down myself. Easter dinner. Was that when the poisoning started? We looked happy, normal. Her door stood closed. The princess sign still hung there, pink letters faded but readable. I'd put that up for her 5th birthday. She'd squealed with delight, hugged me so hard I couldn't breathe. My hand found the doorknob, cold brass, original to the house. Behind this door was truth I didn't want to know, evidence I had to find, proof that my only child wanted me dead. I turned the handle. The door opened silently on hinges I'd oiled myself last month, making things easier for the person planning to kill me. The room smelled like her expensive perfume, jasmine and lies. Late afternoon sun slanted through curtains I didn't recognize, designer fabric that must have cost more than my monthly utilities. This wasn't the teenage sanctuary I remembered. A king bed dominated the space where her twin used to sit. The walls still showed faint outlines of boy band posters under fresh paint. Modern furniture clashed with the ceiling fan I'd installed for her 13th birthday. Her vanity, Louise's old one, refinished, buckled under enough cosmetics to stock a department store. I started with the dresser, designer jeans, silk blouses with tags still on, cashmere sweaters. The bottom drawer held lingerie I didn't want to see, and quickly shut. Nothing hidden between the clothes, nothing taped underneath. 5:35 p.m. on the bedside clock, 25 minutes before she might come home. The right nightstand held magazines about wealth and investing, a phone charger, hand cream that cost $60 according to the label. The left nightstand was different, locked. Why lock furniture in your father's house? The key wasn't hard to find. Nicole had always been predictable about hiding places, under the lamp base, exactly where she'd hidden diary keys as a teenager. My fingers fumbled it twice before managing to unlock the drawer. Insurance papers sat on top, not hers, mine. Policies I'd forgotten I had, with post-it notes marking beneficiary sections. Her name highlighted in yellow. Below those, credit card statements showing massive debts. Bergdorf Goodman, Neiman Marcus, Saks. Thousands in clothes and jewelry while she cried poverty to me. My hand hit something cool at the bottom of the drawer. A small bottle, industrial-looking, with a red and black label. Rataway Professional Grade. My throat closed. The active ingredients list was small but clear. Arsenic trioxide 0.5%. Below that, danger. Fatal to rodents in small amounts. Keep away from food and water sources. Half empty. 3 ounces gone from a 6-ounce bottle. My legs gave out. I sat hard on the bed, the bottle trembling in my hands. This was it. Proof. Not suspicion or paranoia, but physical evidence that my daughter had been poisoning me with rat killer. I fumbled for my phone, took photos from every angle. The label, the measurement marks showing how much was gone, the lot number, the purchase date stamped on the bottom, January 15th, 2025. 3 months of Fridays. 3 ounces of poison. The room spun. I gripped the nightstand to steady myself, knocked over a framed photo. Nicole and me at her wedding, both of us laughing at something Henry had said. She'd looked at this picture every night while measuring out poison for her father's meals. No, this is real. The words came out cracked, foreign. Focus, evidence. Think like an engineer, not a father. The desk drawer stuck, then opened with a protest. Folders labeled in Nicole's neat handwriting. Taxes, medical, important. I pulled out the last one. Inside, a photocopy of my will. Current as of last year. Everything to Nicole as my only heir. The house specifically mentioned, along with my savings accounts, the small pension from US Steel. Sticky notes covered the margins in her handwriting. House, $400K minimum. Savings, $200K. Pension, $2,100 month, $25K year if continues. At the bottom, circled in red, $600K total. Debts. New start. My life reduced to arithmetic. My death calculated like a profit margin. Bank statements underneath. Mine, not hers. How had she gotten these? One from December showed my checking account balance circled. Another from November with my CD maturity date highlighted. She'd been planning this before Christmas, before she'd hugged me and said she loved me and thanked me for the sweater I'd bought her. My baby girl. My only child. The words barely made it past my lips. A car door slammed outside. My heart hammered. I crossed to the window. Just Mrs. Patterson next door, home from her shift at UAB. 5:50 p.m. Time to go. I gathered everything. Photos on my phone. The poison bottle in my pocket wrapped in tissue. The will and bank statements folded small. Evidence of premeditation, of greed masquerading as love, of a daughter who saw her father as an obstacle to wealth. One last sweep of the room. Everything back in place except what I'd taken. She'd know someone had been here, but not immediately. Not tonight. Fatal in small amounts, I read aloud from the bottle in my pocket. Such a small bottle. Such a big betrayal. I closed the door behind me, heard the latch click. The princess sign mocked me. Princesses in fairy tales were good, kind, loving. This princess had been slowly murdering the king in his own castle. The stairs down felt steeper. Each step carried the weight of evidence that would destroy what was left of my family. In my pocket, the poison bottle pressed against my ribs like an accusation. In my phone, photos that would send my daughter to prison. In my heart, nothing but the hollow echo of footsteps on stairs, carrying me away from the room where my daughter planned my death. I descended those 13 steps, like a man carrying explosives, the evidence burning in my pocket, each footfall measured, careful, while my mind raced through possibilities. The living room waited below, Louise's sanctuary, now my war room. Her rocking chair sat by the window, maple wood worn smooth by decades of evening sits. I lowered myself into it, the familiar creak oddly comforting. Outside, the April evening painted shadows across our quiet street. Inside, I held proof my daughter wanted me dead. Engineer's training kicked in. Problem, need confession. Solution, recorded evidence. The poison bottle proved purchase, not intent. The financial documents showed motive, not murder. But her own words admitting the crime, that would be undeniable. My phone showed the photos clearly. Poison label, bank statements, her calculations of my worth. I emailed them to myself, then to my old work account, creating backups. Technology felt strange in my shaking hands, modern tools for an ancient betrayal. The desk drawer stuck, as always. Inside, beneath tax returns from 2018, my old Sony dictaphone waited. Grey plastic, cassette-based, ancient by today's standards. But it worked, that's all that mattered. Fresh batteries sat in the kitchen junk drawer. My hands fumbled them twice before managing the installation. The red light blinked on. Testing, April 29th, 2025, 6:10 p.m. This is Delbert Grant. My voice sounded foreign, hollow, 90 minutes per cassette, more than enough for what I planned. The device fit perfectly in my shirt pocket. Small microphone, just visible, if you knew to look. Nicole never noticed details unless they involved money. I tested range by walking to the kitchen, speaking normally. Playback caught every word. The medicine cabinet yielded antacids, useless against arsenic but possibly helpful psychologically. I dry swallowed 3, then practiced in the hall mirror. Hand to chest, gasp, stumble, too theatrical, again, subtler, let gravity help. Louise's portrait watched from the mantel as I arranged the couch cushions for a safer fall. She'd understand. She'd probably figured out Nicole's nature years before I did. Should have listened to your warnings, baby, I whispered. 6:25 p.m. Nicole's routine never varied. Leave office at 5:45, stop at Publix for groceries, home by 6:30, punctual even in attempted murder. What if she didn't confess? Then I had the poison, the documents, the medical evidence. But I wanted more, needed her voice explaining why her father's life was worth less than his bank account. What if Henry arrived first? Unlikely. Monday meant his manager meeting until 7. Nicole counted on that, needed time to dose me before witnesses arrived. The plan crystallized, appear sicker than expected, trigger her confidence, record everything. 30 years of US Steel Board meetings had taught me to perform under pressure. This was just another negotiation, with my life as the commodity. I need her own words, her confession, I said aloud, testing the recorder again. Clear as day. Headlights swept across the living room wall. 6:28 p.m. Early but not suspicious. The garage door rumbled open. Car door slammed. Keys jangled against the door. "Daddy, you home? I've got dinner." Her voice sang through the house, bright and false as costume jewelry. The same voice that once called me her hero. The same voice now planning my funeral. I pressed record. The tiny red light glowed inside my pocket. 30 years of board meetings prepared me for this performance, I murmured. Then louder. "In here, baby girl." Grocery bags rustled in the kitchen. Cabinet doors opened and closed. The refrigerator hummed. Domestic sounds that should mean safety, family, love. Instead, they meant danger, betrayal, death. "Daddy, I brought ingredients for your favorite, shrimp gumbo, just like Mama used to make." Louise never made gumbo. She was from Tennessee, preferred meat and 3 vegetables. Another lie wrapped in false nostalgia, but I played along. "Sounds wonderful, Nicole." Her footsteps approached, heels clicking on hardwood. The sound grew louder, closer. A shadow fell across the living room doorway, stretching long in the evening light. She stood in the doorway, grocery bag hugged to her chest like armor. Her work clothes, navy blazer, pressed skirt, looked expensive, probably charged to a credit card I'd end up paying. Behind her smile lived a stranger. "You look tired, Daddy. Long day, just resting these old bones. Well, dinner will perk you up. Come keep me company while I cook." The kitchen smelled like chicory coffee and lies. She unpacked systematically. Okra, tomatoes, andouille, shrimp from the expensive counter. When had she started buying $40 a pound seafood while crying poverty? "Gumbo tonight, Daddy, made from scratch." She tied an apron over her work clothes. Louise's apron, with the sunflower print faded but still visible. Her knife work was precise, practiced. Onions in perfect dice, celery in uniform pieces, bell pepper strips exactly equal. She'd learned that from cooking shows, not from Louise. Louise cooked by feel, by love. Nicole cooked like she was following a chemistry experiment. I helped set the table, muscle memory guiding me to the right cabinet, the proper drawer. My hands stayed steady through pure will. The familiar motions felt like betrayal. How many meals had we shared at this table before she decided to kill me? Use the good china, she said. Makes it special. Louise's wedding china, blue roses on white porcelain, each plate worth more than a week of groceries, saved for occasions that mattered, like poisoning your father apparently. The roux darkened slowly in Louise's cast iron pot, Nicole stirring with mechanical precision. She added the holy trinity of vegetables, then stock, then seasonings from unmarked containers she'd brought. No tasting, never tasting. Smells wonderful, I lied. Your mother's recipe, just how you taught me. I'd never taught her any recipes. Another fabrication for whatever narrative she'd constructed. The good daughter, caring for her aging father, tragic when he suddenly passed. We sat at our usual places, me at the head, her to my right, where she'd sat since childhood. Henry's chair remained empty, his absence carefully orchestrated. Let's say grace, she suggested. Since when? We hadn't said grace since Louise's funeral. You go ahead. She reached for my hands. Her fingers felt cold, reptilian. Thank you for this food and family. May we cherish every moment together. Amen. The gumbo looked perfect. Dark roux, plump shrimp, okra floating like green stars. She served me first, a massive bowl with rice mounded in the center. The spoon felt heavy as lead. First bite never made it past my lips. Quick movement to my mouth, then down to the napkin in my lap while she adjusted her own bowl. The napkin grew damp, dark with evidence I couldn't swallow. How's the spice level? Her eyes tracked my every movement. Perfect, baby girl. Another fake bite. Another deposit in the napkin. My throat worked as if swallowing. Years of pretending to enjoy her cooking finally served a purpose. Daddy, you're not eating much? Savoring it. You don't get meals like this every day. No, she agreed, something sharp in her tone. You really don't. The metallic taste hit when I accidentally touched tongue to spoon. Arsenic, mixed into the roux probably, distributed throughout. One real bite for authenticity. Enough to taste death, but not enough to die. The burn started immediately. 7:20 p.m. Time to perform. My hand developed a tremor, subtle at first. The spoon clattered against china. I dabbed my forehead with my handkerchief, let her see the sweat that was actually from fear, not poison. You okay, Daddy? Just a little warm? This spice has kick. Her smile could have cured leather. Good, it's supposed to. 7:35 p.m. The tremor worsened. I gripped my chest, let my breathing go shallow. Something's wrong? Chest hurts? Daddy, false concern painted her face. Can't breathe. Heart. The chair went over as I fell, taking the bowl with me. Gumbo splattered across Louise's good tablecloth. I protected my head, landed on my side, the dictaphone pressing into my ribs but secure. Nicole moved fast, fingers finding my pulse. Professional, like she'd practiced. Finally, she whispered. Finally. Her phone appeared instantly. Henry, come now. I think this is it. Her voice pitched high, excited, not grieving. No. Don't call anyone. Just get here. She dragged me to the couch. When had she gotten so strong? Or had I gotten so weak? The cushions caught me as planned, soft landing for a hard betrayal. 3 months of this, she muttered, pacing. 3 months of Friday dinners. Watching him fight it. Stubborn old fool. The dictaphone caught every word. My eyes stayed closed, but I could hear her moving, feel the vibration of her steps. She was almost dancing. 20 minutes, she said to herself. Henry said 20 minutes. Through slitted eyes, I watched her transform into someone I'd never seen before. The loving daughter mask had slipped completely, revealing something reptilian underneath. She paced the living room in precise patterns, like a caged predator finally sensing freedom. Her phone came out again, calculator app glowing. 400 for the house. 200 in accounts. Her fingers flew across the screen. The CD matures next week. Another 50,000 he thought I didn't know about. She glanced at me occasionally, checking my breathing with the same interest she'd show a malfunctioning appliance. My chest rose and fell steadily. The performance of my life, literally. The phone rang. Henry's ringtone, some country song about trucks and beer. Where are you? No greeting, just demand. Yes, he's out. Completely out, she laughed. Brittle as old bones. I gave him double dose tonight. Wanted this over with. Double dose. The burning in my throat confirmed it. Good thing I'd only swallowed once. Stop worrying. 3 months worked perfect. Every Friday just like clockwork. She moved to the window, checking for cars. The will's in my room, remember? Already reviewed it last week. My fingers twitched involuntarily. She didn't notice. Too busy planning my estate distribution. Listen to me. We stick to the story. He's been having chest pains. Wouldn't see a doctor. Stubborn old man, you know how they are. Her voice had taken on a rehearsed quality. reality. Dr. Mitchell never suspected Mom's death either. The words hit like ice water. Louise, my Louise. The cancer diagnosis had been sudden, the death quicker. Dr. Mitchell, old family friend, hadn't questioned it. Why would he? Devoted daughter caring for sick mother. The Rataway bottle goes tonight, Nicole continued. Bought it cash at that hardware store in Bessemer. No trail. She laughed again. Used it all up anyway. 3 ounces over 3 months. He metabolized it slower than I calculated. A car passed outside. She tensed, then relaxed. Henry, stop being paranoid. Old man barely fought it. Probably wanted to join his precious Louise. My jaw clenched so hard a tooth ached. The dictaphone kept recording, faithful as a heartbeat. She moved to my desk, rifling through papers I'd organized last week. CD matures next month. Another 50,000 he squirreled away. Papers rustled. His pension dies with him, but who cares? We'll have enough. Through my lashes, I watched her count on her fingers. Funeral costs maybe 10,000 if we go modest. He'd want that anyway, practical man. House sells for 400 minimum, maybe 450 in this market. Another car, closer. She checked the window again. That's not you, is it? Blue sedan? Pause. Okay, hurry up. She walked past me to the kitchen, still talking. 15 years I waited for my life to start. 15 years since Mum died and left everything to him instead of splitting it. Cabinets opened. Should have sold when Mum died. Could have had my life then. The refrigerator hummed. Ice fell in the freezer. Normal sounds while she discussed murder. Selfish old fool. Hoarding wealth while I struggled. Her voice had gone bitter, acidic. You know what he said when I asked for help with credit cards? Live within your means, baby girl. Like his generation didn't have everything handed to them. I'd worked swing shifts for 30 years, saved every penny, missed school plays and birthdays for overtime. Handed to me, footsteps returned to the living room. She stood over me, studying. For a moment her face softened. Could have just sold the house, Daddy. All you had to do was sign. A key turned in the front lock. Henry, remember, she said quickly, we were watching TV. He complained about heartburn after dinner. I wanted to call 911, but he refused. Classic stubborn Delbert. Then he just collapsed. The door opened. Henry's voice nervous. How is he? Almost there, Nicole said, then louder, performing. Oh, Henry, Daddy's collapsed. I think it's his heart. Footsteps rushed over. Henry's hand checked my pulse, clammy and shaking. Should we call? In a minute, Nicole said smoothly. Let me try to wake him first. Daddy, can you hear me? She shook my shoulder. Gentle for Henry's benefit. The dictaphone pressed against my ribs, capturing everything. Evidence, truth, justice for Louise, if nothing else. Henry's breathing was ragged above me. Nicole, we should, shut up, she hissed. Just shut up and remember the plan. The living room fell silent except for the grandfather clock Louise had inherited from her mother. It ticked on, counting seconds of my false death and real betrayal. The dictaphone kept recording. Nicole kept watching. Henry kept panicking. And I kept perfectly, terribly still. Henry's footsteps stopped. Through my eyelashes, I saw him frozen in the doorway, taking in the scene. His cheap cologne mixed with nervous sweat. The smell of a guilty man. Is he dead? His voice cracked like a teenager's. Not yet, but close. Nicole checked her watch with the efficiency of someone timing a roast. Another hour, maybe 2. Henry approached slowly, reached for my wrist with trembling fingers. His pulse check was clumsy, untrained. A manager, not a murderer, at least not a natural one. Shouldn't we call someone? Make it look. We wait. Nicole cut him off. Dr. Mitchell comes at 9. Natural causes. Heart failure. He's been having chest pains for weeks, remember? Right, chest pains. Henry wiped his forehead. Cool evening, but he was sweating rivers. Nicole moved to the desk, pulling out documents I'd organized last month. Here's his medical power of attorney, and the DNR he supposedly signed. Forgery too. My daughter, the complete criminal. What if he wakes up? He won't. Double dose, remember? Enough to drop a horse. My hand moved imperceptibly toward my pocket. The dictaphone pressed against my ribs, still recording. 90 minutes of tape, 70 already used. Time to end this performance. They stood with their backs to me, studying papers that would be worthless in minutes. Nicole pointed at signature lines. Henry nodded like a bobblehead. I sat up. Smooth motion, no drama, like rising from a nap. Hello, Nicole! Henry! The papers exploded from Nicole's hands, scattering like guilty confetti. Henry stumbled backward, hit the wall hard enough to rattle Louise's pictures. But you were dead? I stood slowly, deliberately, the dictaphone's outline visible in my shirt pocket. Not quite. Surprise, baby girl. Nicole's face went through a slideshow of emotions. Confusion, understanding, fear, then rage, pure and cold. How long were you? Long enough to hear about Mother. The color drained from her face like water from a tub. Henry made a sound like a stepped-on cat. I pulled out the dictaphone, pressed play. Nicole's voice filled the room. 3 months of Friday dinners, just like clockwork. Then, Dr. Mitchell never suspected Mom's death either. Then, 400 for the house, 200 in accounts. Henry's legs gave out. He slid down the wall, landing hard on the floor. Nicole lunged for the device. I stepped back, smooth as my old boxing days, and pocketed it. Copies already made and stored safely. Your complete confession, in your own voice. You can't prove anything. Your own voice proves everything. I checked the grandfather clock. 8 p.m. exactly. You have 1 hour to pack and leave. Everything you can carry. Never come back. This is extortion. This is mercy. More than you showed me. More than you showed your mother. Henry started to speak. Nicole's look could have frozen fire. The clock chimed 8 times. Each note hung in the air like a judgment. 59 minutes now. Nicole's hand clenched into a fist, knuckles white as arsenic powder. I saw her calculating, that same look from when she was 10, and figured out how to blame broken windows on neighbor kids, except now the stakes weren't allowance money. They were everything. Her transformation happened in seconds, from cornered predator to desperate daughter. She dropped to her knees with theatrical precision, tears appearing like magic. Louise used to say Nicole could cry on command since age 3. "Daddy, please. I was desperate." She grabbed for my hand. I pulled away. The debt collectors were threatening us. They said they'd take our house. Henry's mouth opened and closed like a goldfish, useless as always. Those tears might work on someone else. I kept my voice steady. Not on the man you've been poisoning for 3 months. I'll get help. Therapy. We'll pay back everything. Pay back? With what? My life insurance? She switched tactics, snake quick. It was Henry's idea, Henry gasped. Nicole, what are you? Shut up, she stood, tears evaporating. Daddy, he pressured me, said you were old, that you'd want us to have the money while we're young enough to enjoy it. Henry scrambled to his feet. That's not, you brought home the poison. 55 minutes. I checked my watch. Nicole's mask cracked completely. The loving daughter was gone. In her place stood someone I'd never seen before, or maybe someone who'd always been there, hidden. You always loved that house more than me. I loved you more than life, until you tried to take mine. Fine. She wiped her face roughly, leaving mascara smears. Henry, get the suitcases, now! He ran for the stairs, stumbling on the 3rd step. She followed, then turned back. I'm your only family. Family doesn't poison family. You'll die alone in this museum? Better alone than murdered. Their footsteps pounded overhead. Drawers slammed. Hangers screeched across rods. Voices rose in argument. Nicole barking orders. Henry whimpering responses. I sat in Louise's chair, steady as stone. The house shook with their panic. A suitcase tumbled down the stairs, spilling designer clothes I'd probably paid for. Nicole reappeared, dragging 2 overstuffed bags. Her hair was wild, makeup ruined. She looked like what she was, a failed killer in retreat. This isn't over. Yes, Nicole, it is. I'm still your daughter. My daughter died 3 months ago, the moment she put poison in my food. Henry struggled down with more bags, dropped one, cursed, apologized, picked it up. You made me do this. Nicole's voice pitched high, desperate. You made your choices. What about Mom? What would she think? She'd be heartbroken, but she'd understand. She always saw clearer than me. Henry, don't just stand there. Get the car. He ran out, bags bumping against door frames. Nicole made one last attempt, her voice small, young, the voice of the child I'd raised. Daddy, I'm scared. For a moment I almost broke. Then I remembered the metallic taste, the nights of agony, the casual discussion of my death, like a business transaction. 30 minutes left. She looked around the living room, maybe memorizing it, maybe cataloging what she was losing. Her eyes landed on the side table. Don't forget your mother's ring. Her jewelry box sat there, the one I'd given her for her 16th birthday. She snatched it, clutching it against her chest. Louise's engagement ring was inside, the one thing I'd said she could have when she married. Now she'd have it in exile. She paused at the threshold, mother's ring clutched like a talisman. For a second, I saw the child who used to run to this door to greet me after work. Then it was gone. If you change your mind, I won't. The door closed with a soft click, no slam. That would have been easier somehow. This quiet ending felt more final. Through the window, I watched them load the car. Henry dropped another bag. Nicole screamed something I couldn't hear. The headlights swept across the lawn, where Nicole had learned to ride her bike, where we'd buried her goldfish, where Louise had planted roses that still bloomed every spring. Then they were gone. I locked the door, slid the chain, The house felt enormous, like it had expanded to fill the space their absence created. But it didn't echo with emptiness. It hummed with peace. The dining room still held evidence of attempted murder. Gumbo congealed in bowls. I poured it all down the disposal, listened to it grind away. The china went in the trash. I'd never eat off those plates again, but I kept Louise's tablecloth. It could be washed. Nicole's coffee mug sat on the counter. World's best daughter, in faded letters. A Father's Day gift from 15 years ago. I set it gently in the sink. Tomorrow I'd decide whether to keep it. The lawyer's after-hours line picked up after 4 rings. I left a detailed message about urgent estate matters, changing beneficiaries, new will requirements. He'd call back in the morning. The locksmith's voicemail promised 24-hour service. I scheduled for 7 a.m. I wrote everything down while it was fresh. Times, quotes, actions. My engineering training served me well. Document everything. Assume nothing. The pages filled with evidence of betrayal and survival. The safe in my bedroom closet opened with Louise's birthday. Inside, I placed the rat-away bottle, the recorded confession, the written account, evidence if needed, insurance if Nicole forgot our deal. Louise's chair called me back. Her Afghan lay across the back, soft yellow yarn she'd worked while watching evening news. I wrapped it around my shoulders, smelled lavender and memory. The photo album sat on the side table. I opened it, not sure why. Nicole's first day of school, missing front teeth but grinning. Birthday parties with cousins who'd stopped calling. High school graduation, both of us squinting in bright sun. Her wedding where she'd danced with me to My Girl and promised to always be my baby. When did that bright child become this? Were the signs always there, hidden under report cards and Father's Day cards? Louise, I saved your house, but I lost our daughter. No, she lost herself. My phone buzzed. Nicole, this isn't over. I deleted it without responding. There was nothing left to say. The house settled into evening quiet. Real quiet, not the tense silence of recent months. Tomorrow I'd see Dr. Carter. Update her on my survival. Call the lawyer. Change everything. Start the collation therapy properly. Begin the rest of my life. I stood, turned off lights as I moved through rooms. Each switch brought more peace. The kitchen where she'd poisoned me, dark. The dining room where I'd performed my collapse, dark. The living room where justice had finally come, dark except for streetlight through curtains. At the stairs I paused, 13 steps up. I climbed them steadily. No tremor, no fear. My bedroom door opened to safety I hadn't felt in months. I did what I had to. I told Louise's photo on my nightstand. For the first time in months, I wasn't afraid of tomorrow's dinner. I'd cook it myself, eat alone at my table, taste every bite without fear. The bed welcomed me, familiar and safe. Through the window, stars appeared between clouds. Tomorrow would come with its own challenges, questions from neighbors, maybe threats from Nicole, certainly loneliness. But tonight, in my house, in my bed, I was alive, and that was enough. That was everything. If you liked this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.